Hey everyone, it's Stephanie here with Joanie, and we're just coming off an incredible whirlwind few days. I should say more than a few days. We wanted to take a moment and really sit down and breathe and share with you what's been in our hearts and like presenting our abstract, what it means not just for us, but like just as the co-founders, but really like what it's meant for everybody, like you, the members, as electrology community, students, the wider community who walks this journey with us is who we are talking to today.
Yes, and this isn't just about the presentation. For us, it's about planting seeds, and I feel like we planted many seeds. Seeds of recognition, of legitimacy, of education that goes beyond what we've offered before. And as we sit here reflecting, we feel both a deep pride in how we really, put this together, how far we've come. And honestly, thinking about all the huge responsibility that lies ahead, got a lot of work cut out for us.
Oh, yeah. So, as promised, we talked to you guys the other day that we're going to be going through our abstract presentation. We recorded that all for you here. This is all going to be like kind of put together in a long format video. So if you guys are like, oh, why are there so many transitions? That's why. So here's our research abstract.
See you on the other side.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Stephanie, Joanie, Electrology Education Coalition.
And we're here broadcasting from our hotel room at USPAP.
Yes. We made ourselves a little corner to talk to you guys in. We want to talk to you guys about our first part of this weekend. So we started off a pre-convention course.
That's right. Yeah, we did the foundations course, and that had so much knowledge packed in these sessions. And we're talking 2 days. Each session was about an hour, and they probably did about 6 a day, I would say.
Oh, I think it was like 4, and then we had the multidisciplinary panels.
Exactly.
It was pretty robust in the information, and what we thought was kind of interesting is these are predominantly medical providers. Anywhere from we had like vocal specialists, we had family health, or not family health, family therapy. We had a hair surgeon. We had plastic surgeon. Yes, that'll be a conversation. We had the opportunity to hear from public health experts, and it was all in all, I would say, really informative time. It also was
enlightening.
Yeah. Enlightening is a really good word for that.
Yes, it is.
I feel as though one of the largest takeaways from this is there is such an underrepresentation in the foundations portion of gender-affirming care with hair removal. The one time we got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, talk about it.
So this was actually during the plastic surgeon's foundations course. Mm-hmm. And so he was mostly going through different types of surgeries that transgender individuals would probably elect to have.
Yes.
And I had a question. Mainly, it was following up the facial feminizing surgery. Mm-hmm. And my question was simply, or maybe not that simply, but I wanted to know, when it comes to electrolysis, hair removal in general, would it be best for us to for patients to go and get facial feminizing surgery before they even begin the electrolysis process or after they're done? And the reason that I asked this was because 2 things. The hair follicles take up space in the skin.
Volume.
And so, for example, an upper lip full of dense terminal hair will be a little bit more bulbous than without, where you start to see kind of the dip with the curve of the upper lip. And I didn't know if that would impact surgical outcomes in any kind of significant way. And my second part to this was that hair follicles have, especially deep, thick terminal hair follicles, have a lot of blood circulation going to them.
Oh my gosh.
So skin is a lot more vascular when you have deep, thick terminal hair. And so does that change the surgery? Any complications with that? Well, the answer was... essentially, the question was ignored, and this kind of became a discussion about their beliefs on hair removal and what works and what doesn't. And essentially it was highlighting that laser is perfectly okay as the studies show, which we can discuss at a different time.
Absolutely.
And that electrolysis is slow, painful, and
a hot needle piercing the skin.
Hot needle piercing the skin is what the words that were used, and that it was unnecessary. Now, we know this to be fundamentally very wrong.
And one of the things is, and you guys have to remember, like myself as a technician, both of us are laser trained, and I still utilize laser in my practice. So I am not anti-laser, nor will I ever be anti-laser, but I am pro collaboration and treatment. But the question is how can we provide a safer service or a better service to your potential patient? Making sure that we are not interrupting not only the nerves in the area and negatively, the blood source that then feeds that hair and subsequently heals that skin throughout the process of facial feminization. We know that we've seen on our side of things, from both being able to fire a laser to being able to do epilation of hair, that we know that there is a negative impact to tissue that is part of the healing process, and the very germinative cells that we work within are under attack either way, right? And so the goal is, especially in that space, and what was unfortunate in this moment, and it was a very galvanizing moment for the two of us, that we didn't get to have it answered.
No.
Instead, the one time that we got to speak up and assist, and I did step in because I could not let this be the case, because they were talking about the study show and there's overwhelming.
And essentially, I mean, what they even answered was when to stop electrolysis before going for surgery. That was not my question.
No,
I don't really need those guidelines, you know? So for the most part, I mean, it's nice to talk about it, but that wasn't what I asked.
Yeah. And it was after we had acknowledged that we'd both been in practice for multiple years working in gender-affirming care. We're not new to this. We are saying, as educators and as people educating the next generation of this, and understanding that science 20 years ago is not science of today, that is there something that you would prefer to see as a surgeon? And the preference is that we don't exist, is what it felt like. It also felt like in that moment, there was a little bit of there.
Yeah.
Like it was...
very much so.
It didn't feel good in the moment. And it was a reminder that this investment of being here in this space can't be ignored. We have got to be here.
Well, the way that I was trying to explain it too is that, so this surgery session was followed by the voice therapist.
Yes.
And a voice therapist, sure, you know, is not a medical professional. They are, you know, allied, of course, but they had a full hour to talk about their discipline and how their discipline integrates with other disciplines for the care of these transgender patients. And I think, you know, they spend time doing this, but so do we.
Yeah.
And a lot more. But where is our hour talking about integrating electrolysis and doing, you know, the time frames that really should be talked about and how hormones affect what we do, which was a point that you brought up day one. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So day one, what ended up happening is when we got to have that multidisciplinary panel, which, by the way, we are excited about that because that is something that we see even within our own education events that we want to incorporate. When we have speakers come out, it's not just a panel. We want to be able to say that everything weeps, right? And so the opportunity in that moment was, hey, as electrologists, one of the big things that we're seeing, because they were talking about how hormones impact the body, and we have some great information on those timetables now that is new and like well thought out info about how estrogen or testosterone impacts a trans feminine to trans masculine to non-binary patient. So I brought up, well, when we're working with trans masculine individuals or non-binary individuals that are seeking phalloplasty, if there is a moment that a patient needs to have something that is going to impact their body's natural production of androgen-sensitive follicles, okay? They need to understand that if it happens before their prime peak time of efficacy in that hormone. So, for example, we found the information as 5 years is the window for most trans masculine folks to peak in hair growth or development in the use of that testosterone. Which means, and what we're seeing in our office is the average trans masculine individual coming to us is in there under 2 years.
Yes.
And they're seeing us at 1 year in. And if we think about this, the area of graft skin, once we take out and we do an oophorectomy or a hysterectomy, and we take out the wall that was in place by our body, now we have an influx of hair growth.
That tends to happen
post-operatively by about, it's usually a 4-week start, and we see the max new wave coming in about 16 weeks. The reason for this is we go back to the Richard and Maherg research project in the 90s that we've been looking through, is that timeline of the forearm hair growth on non-hormonal hair is averaged out about 20 weeks in that cycle, in that full cycle. Well, if you go for surgery, you have a stressor that happens, and then all of a sudden you have an influx of hair growth, and now we have nothing stopping your testosterone from working. Guess what's going to happen if we hit that 1-year mark from the time your electrolysis has happened in that time frame? You'll have an influx of hair growth, interurethral hair growth will happen, and post-surgical complications will go skyrocketing. What was really beautiful is a couple of the providers there that were talking to us.
Really appreciate it.
They really appreciated it. In fact, afterwards, they were like, that was incredible. We have never considered that. Those are those conversations. So for the next day to get hit with such an opposite wall,
Yes,
it was a reminder. We also lucked out being able to have a dear friend of ours who
on the board, yes,
is an electrologist.
and was in their board meeting as this happened. And so when I told them that we had just been told that we insert a hot needle and that really what we're doing is unnecessary, right? Because they see no use in it. Laser does just fine, which we know not to be true. And I wonder sometimes, like, where is your post-operative follow-up?
And it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we're living in La La Land where everything's perfect.
Yeah. So if it's unstudied, it doesn't exist. Out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
So,
but
so
when I said this, which is great, since they were in the board meeting, it just so happened that they were able to bring up that in real time that there is a true lack of our voices.
Yeah. So anybody who's met me in person knows that I am a little bit of a fiery soul every once in a while. And I was channeling my fiery soul in that moment to say, okay, what are the things that we need? What do we need to see in this spot? And you can't record these events. You're not taking pictures in the events because we're working on patient privacy. We're working on provider privacy in this space because I actually talked to them today. There are over 700 people here for this event. This hotel is sold out. It's packed. In that thought, with all of those people here, I took that moment and I started just notating. And we were able to then give that board member a SIG, so a special interest group proposal. Mm-hmm. And it is actually an interest of the new board that they would like them to do further.
And that might lead to, we were discussing a transgender specific training.
Oh my gosh, yes.
For transgender patients. And so just to have, something...
Certification source.
Exactly. A certification course that we could put together. And so that would have, trauma-informed care and interdisciplinary stuff. So anything that really relates to transgender care, but focuses obviously on our role as electrologists. If you can imagine kind of a specified or specific training just for something like that.
And, we understand that there are some limitations that we currently face as Electrology Education Coalition. When this idea was concept initially was, okay, research, community, education. These are the pillars, right? GEI Foundation was the moment of giving us a foundation for those pillars to have something to stand on, right? The opportunity for the SIG, the special interest group, the opportunity to present the abstract on this upcoming Tuesday. Each one of those moments is going to take barriers out that electrologists had faced. Today, we got to sit in on educational abstracts as well as the second one was the emergency spaces and provider spaces.
Yes.
And then he got to sit with another great abstract group, and we met with a national what would we call that? Like a hub of information for providers?
Yes, it was a resource for I don't know if it was just providers, if it was also for patients, but to find resources.
Well, patients to find resources.
It was called Trans Health HQ.
Yes.
And so as they're presenting, I'm looking up the portal because I'm curious and actually signed up for it just to see what it was. And there is everything from any kind of discipline in medicine to specialty care. There was physical trainers and there was dermatologists. There was mental health and a bunch of different things. But you know what was missing?
Do ya? There's 2 of them here in the room.
Yeah. No mention whatsoever of hair removal. And when I brought it up, there seemed to be a fairly big amount of interest in it. And so we spoke to the researcher and they had mentioned just how difficult it was to pin us down. And that was the problem.
Yep. And so now we have this opportunity to have this researcher unlock something that patients have had no access to. And I mean, think about it. 700 people are here listening to this moment, right? Not in that little room in that moment, but like that have access. These pamphlets are everywhere. These stickers are everywhere. Now, all of a sudden, because of, taking time away from the classroom and away from our day-to-day, making sure that we are holding true to what we believe in, which is advancement in this industry, which is collaboration, which is understanding that we are part of a multidisciplinary hub of providers. And that often, and actually every person that we've sat with at lunch has said, oh my gosh, we need you guys here because you guys are with our patients the longest, the most. You guys talk to them. You guys know more about, and it's like for us to have been, I'm actually really surprised that there has not been a better representation of electrologists, especially with how old, 150 years old this industry is. And this organization has been around since 1979. Think about that. Here we are, 2025, realizing that it's time to change. And so there's a lot that we're going to be working on. I think that if we continue to build the future together, that we're able to then take and stop being, your best kept secret.
But doesn't it also just kind of light that fire about this research project that we're trying to get off the ground? I mean, it's blood, sweat, and tears at this point. But we're really hoping that we can get the interest of all of you electrologists out there that see clients, because if we're going to make this make sense, we need to make sure we have enough data. And that data comes from your centers, so it comes from your offices, you treating your clients, your patients, and giving us the data that we need.
Absolutely.
If we don't have collaboration from people out there, it's not going to work.
We are 2 years old now as a company. And when we think about that, like we're still very much in a toddling phase, right? But 2 years in and 100 of you have decided that you want to be on the future of electrology. If we think about that, if we amplify that, if we tell every electrologist the importance of this and how much we were underrepresented.
Yes.
Think about what can happen in 2 years from now with that data that we end up collecting.
One thing that I did find surprising is that we didn't have to explain to anybody what we did.
Not one soul.
Yeah, so they know what we do. They might not understand just how intricate it is and actually how it works and where the importance is, which is okay because that's what we're here to educate. But at least there was no confusion there.
Only the waitress. That was so funny. Well, yeah, so it was like, what is he do? I was like, okay, that makes sense. But that's the thing is like, I mean, we are here doing something that it's hard work and ice breaking and working on that elevator pitch and getting up in front of a lot of people to talk about this. I mean, yesterday...
Can't be shy, right? Yeah, we'll get up, we introduce ourselves, we hand out business cards. So we're here networking as much as we can.
So what I think a large takeaway so far, because now we're on day one of the actual conference. So like, what you're hearing about is the pre-conference and like a little zhuzh of the actual conference that started today, right? So like we had our first set of abstracts. We had an amazing speaker this morning in regards to the laws that we're
policies.
And
very
that was actually something that Joanie and I talk about this a lot because neither one of us think lightly in any way whatsoever about what our patients are faced with right now. But there's a call for clear information. There's a call for stopping that downward spiral that a lot of people are going through right now.
Sure.
Because there's so much misinformation, and then people are panicking. I mean, how many times have we heard about, these medical providers, so they're on Reddit and they're hearing all the wrong things.
Yes.
Because
They
people
keep bringing up Reddit. Oh, it's hilarious.
Reddit it's a hot button right now.
It's good and bad, right? It's community sourced information, which I think that is difficult to get, but at the same time,
Without moderation.
Exactly. So that means that at the same time, you got to be, you got to make sure you're combing through what you're reading.
Absolutely. That this morning was really helpful, especially because, as many of you know, I am halfway between Seattle and Portland in a smaller town. Okay. And I chose that geographic location because I, want to be accessible to as many people as possible when it comes to education. But my work is in training a lot of that gender affirming care aspect integrated into electrology, into the electrology world. And we are seeing in real time that of those people that are here, there are red states, blue states, small towns, big towns, providers that have just started off, providers that have been at this a long time. Students. We are seeing researchers. We are seeing, the student presentations. Your student presentation.
That's right. Actually, there was a California Electrology Academy alumni who presented a poster, which was great. And so that was nice.
Yeah, it was really cool because when I got to talk to him, I believe him pronounced.
Yes.
So when I got to talk to him, it was cool because the model he's doing is exactly what we do in our state too. And I'm like, that right there, it is a change that accessibility, the more we see that, the more that can move into cisgender care as well, the more that can move into spaces where you can take and hone in the craft of an electrologist and make them a hyper-focus or help them have a general, a lot of volume in their client base, but a general look of their practice, whether it might be just more on the aesthetic approach, but being exposed to that style is huge. Hearing how that charting impacts was pretty cool. They really love how we have that vibe of data collection because
it's, and I keep reiterating how important it is for electrologists, and one of our biggest barriers actually to giving care when it comes to insurance patients is the fact that we're not really taught or organized in a way that works with insurance companies and doctors and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
that was really cool. And the opening night speaker, which I don't know if you guys know, I love history, I obviously have a museum, so of course I love history. But there was a historian, a transgender expert historian that gave the opening night speech, and it was really cool. And it was also a reminder that while we are in dark times, and there's no light, we're not trying to skirt around the issue. The dark times are here, and we're kind of at the beginning of that kind of stuff. But we're also a very resilient community when it comes to the LGBTQ community and the expansion of that. We are also people, this many people. That's a lot of providers that we are now seeing.
yes.
We're not going anywhere. In fact, double down and make it easier to happen. Be forthcoming and forward speaking about what you're going to tell your patients in the treatment room. Do not doom and gloom this situation, because even though we know doom and gloom exists in that situation, that doom and gloom is serving nobody. In fact, instead, find them resources. Connect them with resources like that Transgender HQ. Connect them, get connected with providers. If this is a place that you want to grow your practice in, get connected with providers like this.
And there was a good resource that we got from, was it this morning's legal policy lecture?
Yes. I have that on my phone. I will have to remember what that is later because we're recording on that right now. There's an absolute resource area where you can go and figure out what's happening with what the laws live.
Find pro bono lawyers.
Finding pro bono lawyers.
Bunch of resources. There's things you could have in your office to hand out to clients when they come in, because we know that there's always, somebody that has issue with insurance or issue getting covered, getting their care covered, things like that.
Yeah, and I think that the show notes of this will have a lot of the stuff that we can provide you guys. in this space with that in there so that you guys can have a kind of at your fingertips. In the next 2 days, tomorrow's day for us is a lot of going around, getting to know more people, making sure that they keep hearing electrology education, get electrologists. I mean, we found active people. I'm trying to go to the electrolysis school. I can't find one.
Yep.
We got 2 schools right here. Let's talk.
Somebody looking for an electrologist in Maryland.
Oh yeah, we got somebody a provider. Yeah, that was really cool because we got to give out Eileen's school for that moment, and we're like, okay, here's a couple electrologists right next to you, and here's a school if you can't access affordable care. Bam, affordable care is at your fingertips, which is amazing. We've had the opportunity to meet with pelvic floor specialists. We talked to, which is really cool.
Lots of social worker from Michigan and from Washington State.
Louisiana.
That's right.
Yes, we had that one as well.
Met with some physicians in California for sure, different places. Lots of San Francisco physicians.
Tennessee. We got to talk to somebody in Tennessee in the thick of things.
Right.
And just, it's a consistent reminder that there is plenty of resources there, but you just got to dive into these spaces. I would love to, next year is in Mexico. Mexico City is November, WPATH. That'll be an amazing opportunity for a lot of electrologists. If you do like to travel, our goal is to be there.
And hopefully have something of our own research project to present, at least a beginning, where we're at with that. That would be a great goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are the things that we were literally working on so far. Tuesday, right now, at the time of this recording, it is currently Sunday evening. But Tuesday will be the day that we present our abstract before heading back to our home states and being able to get back to our students and our families. So that's going to be, we're probably going to be recording an abstract for you guys as part of this. It'll probably be edited onto this if I get.
It might be a little chopped up.
Yeah.
This mentorship hour, but this is more of an informational, informal session. Yeah, just to kind of give you an idea as to what we're doing, really.
Yeah, we have to charge the laptop so that we can show you guys what the presentation actually looks like as we're giving our part of it. Sorry. But that's kind of what's left over. More abstracts to watch. With the chili pepper night. Apparently, whatever that is. Yeah, there's a chili pepper disco. I don't know what that means, but I'm supposed to wear red, and I managed to bring her with me.
I have red shoes.
Yeah, look at this. So we're going to do a little 2 hot chili peppers. We're going to catch up on a lot of the stuff that we want to get locked down for you guys. And then we're excited to see you guys when we return.
That's
right. So that we can have a larger conversation. We also have gotten to talk to a few people about being interviewed on the podcast and on mentorship hours so that you guys can ask your questions as we bring those people on and we start to schedule them. What'll end up happening is we'll reach out to you guys and say, hey, this is the expert. This is what they provide.
Send in your questions.
Right. Otherwise, it's our questions for you. And then I think that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Joanie. So presenting the abstract was weirdly nerve-wracking in some ways, exhilarating, definitely, because it's been on our hearts for a few years now together. On the other hand, we're 2 electrologists. We stand in a space filled with medical professionals, researchers, educators, policymakers, even. On the other hand, it kind of felt finally our profession was being seen and heard, and we weren't just in a room, we belonged in that room.
And what really struck me was just how hungry people were for the information. The question we got weren't just surface level. They were meaningful. They were urgent. Providers wanted to know, how do we get patients the care that we need? Everybody just wants to find electrologists that will take gender-affirming care, and it was huge. I mean, it underlined just how critical this need is. How do we integrate electrology into gender-affirming care models? So talking about collaborating with other professionals, because we brought up so many different things that they had just never thought about because they never really hear from us, right? So
think about it. We were in a room, during the abstract, because we're at the end, right? We were in a room that's smaller, but there's 700 people there that every time we opened our mouths about electrolysis, they were ooh, in that spot.
Exactly. So, it brought up a lot of interesting things, but also like a lot of things that we need to start thinking about like we talked about integrating into gender affirming care models, how to ensure safe practice, and there's just so many things.
Yeah, absolutely. When we think about it, it's like my heart is kind of heavy in one sense, because what we're doing is filling a gap that shouldn't, like, it should not exist.
Mhm.
Patients are desperate to find providers. Providers are desperate to make appropriate referrals. Um, Electrologists, and you know this, I mean, like, many of us have worked in isolating spaces. I mean,
Yes.
now we get to start seeing clinics growing, like yours and mine, that kind of stuff. But like for so long, my favorite thing I ever heard from one of my local electrology buddies was like, we're all on little islands and we needed to find out how to get the boat from island to island. I
Yeah,
think
you need a canoe
we need a
and
canoe.
a
Yeah,
good paddle.
yeah, absolutely. So I feel like because of this, it's the isolation is created an issue in legitimacy, and like they're desperate for it. They're desperate for community. The gap was too wide. Um, but like
Mm.
with that like heavy sense of my heart, I also feel like it's really full right now. When I was driving home yesterday from the airport, one of the things I told Mike is like to I feel like you and I and Patricio, like it's like we walked away feeling needed. Uh,
Yes.
as like we're building this through the coalition, which I'm so, and I know I talked to you about this. We're packing up our suitcases yesterday, and it's like I feel so grateful for this space with you and with all of our mentorship people and all of the people that come to our education events. It's like finally we're building that bridge across the gap, and it doesn't feel isolating anymore.
Absolutely. And what fuels me right now is the knowledge that our work is more than just technique or business models. It's about dignity, it's about equity, it's about ensuring that electrolysis doesn't get lost in the shadows of newer technologies. I mean, we know that's what happened with laser. We got lost a little bit. And while laser is very much needed and worthwhile, so are we,
Yeah.
if not more so.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to stand proudly as a partner in patient care. And so that's really what's driving me for the next steps.
Yeah, I joked at the end of our abstract, which it made we actually had them kind of rolling in
I
laughter.
know. Yeah, we're funny.
Like, we're hilarious. But when I was like, I don't want to be your ally, I want to be your accomplice. Like,
Hmm.
we're here to get stuff done, and we're here to get stuff done correctly. So that was pretty cool. For our
Yes.
members, I feel like it's whether you've been with us since like day one or like they're just joining us. The abstract was really about them. It's about you. Um, because like when we stand up there, we're carrying their voices, their lived experiences, their questions, along with like what we've experienced ourselves. I feel like our membership is like it's been our think tank,
Hmm.
a sounding board. Um, our research collaborators, I'm so proud of like the amount of like deep dive reading and like
Yeah.
making sure that we all make sense and that we're bouncing off each other. I think that was really cool. So like without you, there would be no abstract. Like you, I mean, of course you Joanie, but like you, the collective zapper, we
Yes.
have an abstract because of them, and there would be no credibility. There would be no we in that space. So that's pretty
That's
cool.
right. And going forward, this means more opportunities to shape the narrative, right? So there's work reworking right now um, the map to
Yeah.
find our practitioners right across the US. And when we go there, and we go there as Electrology Coalition, we go there as a resource. And so members need to go and create their profiles on there. Make sure that you're searchable so that people can
Yeah.
go on our websites. We give this to the medical and scientific community. They go on our website and then they can find you. So it's just more ways to be able to be out there. Then, we're talking about putting together the special interest group through WPATH, and, people can join this. If you've heard us talk about the research project, you can still join, right?
Yeah.
Actually, you should still join. So there's so many different things that the membership can give you. It's more than just logging in for an hour or, taking a home study here or there. We hope that you can be part of the movement, that you
Mhm.
can actively start writing the next chapter of electrology. So don't think just receiving education, but contributing to this legitimacy in the field of medicine, in insurance, and in public health.
Oh, exactly. Every soap note that you take, every patient that you serve, every question that you ask, it builds this body of knowledge that allows us like to stand on a stage and say, this matters, we matter, this is necessary, and here is the evidence. I feel like it's a really crucial part now of that membership side of E2C. It's like, yes, like this content gets to be built as like podcast material for the future and talking points for electrologists to not feel so alone, but it turns our practice into like progress and reality. So I think that, I mean, I do definitely want to hear from the membership as we build out that side of things. Like, do they want clickable boxes to be like, I am a gender affirming care clinic, or I specialize in PCOS, or what is it that you're needing people to know how to find you? Because I want it to be like social media of not social media like like the forums, that kind of stuff, but like social media, like an easy way to find your business. I want to be the Google of electrolysis, if that makes sense for them, so they know how to find a legitimate person who's diving headfirst into their career.
Yeah.
It makes practitioners professionals.
That's right. And beyond membership, it's about reshaping the story of our profession. So right now, patients, they hear way too often, like, a good luck finding someone. This was a theme that came back over and over. We would sit at these round tables during lunch and breakfast, and they knew what we did. And they're like, where is somebody? We have nobody in our town. Where can I find somebody that does this? And so it just keeps on coming up. And so we really want to change that. We want to be able to say, here's a network of educated, compassionate, ethical providers that you can trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the big drive, the big need.
The big picture. I think it's like how are other professionals, organizations, companies going to see us? When physicians and surgeons and mental health providers recognize electrology as an integral part of gender affirming care.
Except that one, but we won't talk about that.
Except that one. I'm like, those who must not be named. I feel like it opens doors,
Yes.
which is kind of crazy because like one of the nights, Joanie and I were like, let's just have like a little moment and like we'll watch a movie together as we're like falling asleep and winding down. And neither one of us could fall asleep at this point because our brains were on fire. So we watched the Temple Grandin story and like it was just this moment of like the doors. I opened a door, right? And it was like, and I helped. And it's like, that's what this moment was. And it was so weird that like out of all movies for us to pick, we picked that one. And it is what we're doing here. It's about that, like, don't assume that you don't belong in a space. You just got to walk through the door to get there. So I feel like that was huge. When I think about like creating that partnership, it invites respect and ultimately ensures that patients never fall through the cracks of a system that is broken right now and we're trying to fix it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why we've been so focused on research, because research is the language of legitimacy. So when it comes to these spaces with doctors and scientists, they really need to see the data.
Oh.
So our anecdotal evidence just only really gets us so far. We know it works. We need to be able to prove it. So if we're able to become evidence-based, peer-reviewed, and recognize, that recognition is what is going to protect patients and practitioners.
Absolutely. So I feel like there's a call to action in this moment.
If you haven't gotten the hint yet.
If we haven't like laid it on real thick.
Yes.
Because like what's funny is the reason we went to this is, I mean, we knew that there was a need, right? And Patricio, it kept telling us like, I need you at WPATH, right? As a board member, as an electrologist. And like they gave an abstract too. And it was like the same thing. Like we are sitting here saying that while there is a body modification, non-surgical option that electrology falls into, we are still part of a large framework.
Can we say that, there was a couple other abstracts during our session and every question came to us?
Oh my gosh, all of them. I was like, sorry, friend.
Important things here.
We have to talk about this.
But that just shows, like, that just shows just how thirsty they are for this, for sure.
That was a desert. We were the water in that moment. I feel like I want to say like presenting this abstract isn't a finish line, right? It is a start.
Far from it.
Yeah. The work is now to expand. It's to publish, to teach, to mentor, to create spaces where no electrologist feels like they're working alone, and no patient feels like they're left without care.
Mhm. And for all of you listening, our members, our colleagues, our allies, this is your invitation. So stay with us, stay engaged, bring your questions, your data, your voices, because the stronger we are together, the louder we can be at shaping the future of electrology.
Absolutely. Our hearts are full. That mission is clear. And we're grateful to be walking this path with all of our electrology and hair removal colleagues. This isn't just our abstract, it's a collective story. And we are in chapter 1, and we're ready to crack open chapter 2. So we're going to be the next Hinkle kind of moment. It's going to be when people go, oh, the maroon book? Nah, it's going to be the E2C moment of all of our membership coming together. So
So we can only hope.
Yep.
So as we wrap up, we just want to thank you for walking alongside us. The GEI course that we took gave us tools, the conference gave us momentum, and presenting the abstract really gave us purpose. But the real impact is what we do with that together going forward.
Exactly. Not the end of the story, just the beginning. We'll keep sharing, keep teaching, keep researching. But this movement is built with you in mind. And we want to thank you for being part of this journey. We talk, Joanie always, and I started talking about the pillars, right?
Mhm.
You know, we think of, we took a GEI foundations course, right? Uh, when I think about that, it set a moment for our pillars to stand in this Coliseum as well. So that education, that community, that research now has.
We kind of had it all that weekend, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, we hit all 3 pillars. How funny.
Love that for us. So. Well, I know that we have to get back to like reality. I'm catching up on all of my admin stuff today, and I'm sure that you're catching up on the patients that I'll be doing tomorrow.
That's right. I'm at the office today, so.
Yeah. So we want to thank you guys again, and we will see you guys very soon.
Thank you.
Bye.